Welcome back to this series of Dark Reading Fast Chats. Terry Sweeney here with Dark Reading, and joining me now is Ash Devata, Vice President and General Manager of Cisco Zero Trust and Duo Security. Ash, welcome to this Fast Chat.
Happy to be here, Terry. Thanks for having me.
We are talking about continuous trusted access, and in that vein, I'm curious what sort of trends you see shaping the industry and its technical solutions in that vein.
Sure, Terry. The biggest trend we see is around complexity. Organizations have enabled hybrid work so that all their employees can work from anywhere during pandemic. And now they're figuring out how do you actually manage security and compliance for the framework. There's a lot of cloud adoption happening. It's only accelerating. So the key thing is around how do we make sure only the right people have access to the applications, and how is security changing even after the login happens. So, we have customers saying that some of these sessions last for almost 6 months. So you log into something like box.com, and then you just have the login cookie for 6 months, and a lot of things change in those 6 months. How do you know what's changing and how the risk is changing?
Sounds like quite a bit of intelligence on the back end to sense and adjust to any changes in the state of the connection.
Absolutely. That is what is required. Because in the past, in the old world, everything used to be more binary. I give you access or I do not give you access. The challenge with that is there's more user friction, right? Every time you're giving access, you have to inspect the user, inspect the device. And end users just want to get their work done. They don't want to go through all the security checks. But on the other side, once you give trust, how long can the trust last? What happens when the posture of your laptop changes, when you change your location, when something else happens? So that's the whole thing we're thinking about in this continuous trusted access framework.
Well, let's drill into that for a bit. What is Cisco doing to address these challenges and some of these longer term issues?
Sure. We've been working on this for several years now. And what we're trying to do is expand the number of signals we're getting about the user's device, the behavior of the user, and trying to do that without invading the privacy of the user. For example, we want to know if the user location has changed, but we do not want to tap into the GPS signal of the phone because we strongly believe you're invading the privacy of the user.
Okay. So I think what you're talking about is risk-based authentication, yes?
Yes. The term's been there for a while, almost more than 2 decades, I guess, from back in RSA days. But what we're trying to do is, in the new model, we are trying to get more precise. Because as an example, in the traditional risk-based authentication model, everything was based on IP address. And these days, IP addresses are not reliable because, if you're using your iPhone, for example, by default, you can use the Apple VPN built into your iPhone, and it obfuscates the IP address. So when you cannot rely on the IP address to track the location or the reliability of the network, what new signals can you get? And then how do you measure risk from those signals, and what controls can you place? So it's a risk-based authentication as a concept, but the way we are implementing it is quite different.
What more then happens with regard to post-login security? There's obviously other things that you're measuring, adjusting, taking away, adding as needed. Tell us about that.
Sure. Post-login is very exciting. We're in very early stage. Just to simplify, for the viewers, typical model for authentication is you're trying to log into an application, let's say box.com. You're inspected through MFA, multi-factor authentication, maybe your device posture is inspected, and then you log into box.com. And that's it, done, right? But what happens after you log into box.com? Your session might be live for 6 months or 3 weeks. Is the posture of your device changing, as in there's a new patch for which there's an update? Or did you, turn the encryption off on your device? Did you turn the host level firewall off on your device? Has your location changed? You move from the office to, let's say, a Starbucks. So what we're trying to do with continuous trusted access is continuously measure all these signals completely in the backend without adding friction to the user. And as soon as we find a signal changing, we communicate with box.com as an application through some industry new standards we've been working on in partnership with Google and Amazon and Microsoft. The standard is called CAPE, Continuous Access Evaluation Protocol. And this allows us to communicate with the applications on what has changed and then what needs to be done about it.
As you've referred a couple times in our conversation so far to privacy concerns, whether that's collecting personal information about users, tracking location, that sort of thing. Obviously, this could tilt over into invasions of privacy, which is a concern for both organizations as well as their workforces. Talk to us a bit, close us out if you would, by talking about how Cisco thinks about privacy in the context of verifying trust.
Sure. I mean, we strongly believe privacy is a human right. And that's a declaration our CEO, Chuck Robbins, has made at several forums openly. And what that means is when we're designing these kind of features, we want to make sure we are sticking to that principle. So I'll give you an example. We want to know if the location of Terry has changed, right? The traditional way is I can get to your GPS signal, but we believe that is invading your privacy. So the way we are solving it is by looking at, has your, for example, did the Wi-Fi signature change on your machine? So you are at location 1, and your laptop sees a certain set of Wi-Fi hotspot SSIDs. If you change your location to location 2, the SSIDs change because that location has a different set of Wi-Fi hotspots available. So I know that your location has changed from 1 to 2, but I do not know what is 1. Is 1 your house and is 2 your guest house? So I don't know where you are, but I definitely know your location has changed. So we're able to solve the security problems we have without invading the privacy in this case.
Great insights on continuous trusted access, Ash. Thanks for joining us for this fast chat today.
Thanks for having me, Terry. Goodbye.
We've been talking with Ash Devata of Cisco. This has been Terry Sweeney with Dark Reading. Thanks for joining us for this fast chat, and we'll see you next time.